Howdy. So when I'm hearing stuff like this in the comment section, can't get enough 49ers football right now. That means I have to sit down, do another video, crank out some more content for you guys. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Yes, it is cold in Wisconsin. Yes, it's going to be even more cold at night during Saturday's game, 49ers and Packers. And yes, we're ready to embrace it all. Today, as speaking of 49ers content, we came out with an epic article. Matt Barrows, Dan Brown, and I teamed up for one. Ric Flair, burnt gloves, and dead grass. How the 49ers beat the Packers in the 2013 playoffs at a frozen Lambeau Field. We talked to so many guys. We even talked to Aaron Andrews, who was the Fox sideline reporter for this game. And trust me, the stories in this one are worth it. Aaron Andrews told us about how her mitten caught on fire because they put these jet engine like heaters on the sideline to turn 2 degrees into 32 degrees. And you get too close, well, stuff is going to catch on fire. Between Ric Flair showing up to the 49ers team hotel the night before the game, doing the whole Ric Flair woo thing. The 49ers got pumped up. They beat the Packers in that freezing cold, Colin Kaepernick running. All that's covered in this 3,000 to 4,000 word oral history that Barrows, Dan Brown, and I put together. The pictures are epic. You got to check it out on The Athletic. It's good preview material. And we grinded our asses off this week to bring you guys a ton of stuff. So there's that. There's obviously this. This is the game preview that I went through yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit more about today, but I wanted to bring you a key that I discussed in the game preview, and I talked about it in the video game preview, but this is something that deserves its own dedicated video as well, and that is neutralizing Kenny Clark, the big Green Bay nose tackle. This guy took over the first game in week 3. You remember the play that looked really, really weird from Jimmy Garoppolo, the fumble where he kind of turned away from the pass rusher and threw the ball down, and it ended up being a backwards throw. So it was a fumble. Green Bay recovered. They kicked the field goal. That ended up actually being the winning difference in the game. Well, the pass rusher on the play was Kenny Clark. And the 49ers historically have trouble with dominant interior pass rushers, so defensive tackles. Grady Jarrett from Atlanta almost single-handedly willed the Falcons to a win in the 2019 season over obviously a Super Bowl contending 49ers squad. Chris Jones of the Chiefs. I think without him, Kansas City doesn't win the Super Bowl in that season. Aaron Donald of the Rams. Now, before you say, the 49ers own Aaron Donald, I think that's a bit aggressive. I think Aaron Donald has big games against them, and he's had big games against them frequently. You go back to week 16 of that 2019 season, and Aaron Donald had like 7 or 8 pressures and 4 sacks or 3. I mean, he had a lot of production against Daniel Brunskill, making his NFL debut at the right guard position. Now, in fairness, this is where the whole Aaron Donald control has a point. When the 49ers have been able to contain Aaron Donald, they have seen offensive success against the Rams. And yes, Daniel Brunskill has played better than he has in other games against Aaron Donald in some of these 49ers wins. But that really just corroborates the point. If the 49ers can control the dominant defensive tackles on the other side, their offense is going to be fine. And this is why I put this up there. The 49ers go as their interior offensive linemen will go. Essentially, the interior offensive line is the biggest risk the 49ers are taking from a personnel standpoint. They like their guards light, they like them mobile, and they like them, because of those things, 2 things, to be able to run block. Now, the problem is when your interior offensive linemen are light and they're mobile, especially on the right side with Daniel Brunskill. He's a former tight end, played that position in college at San Diego State. When that is the case, they are susceptible to damage on the bull rush from big, strong, powerful defensive tackles. So you play a catch-22, right? You play, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Maybe that's the best way to put it. You can get what you need out of the outside zone run game, out of the blocking and space, out of these guys who are nimble on the inside, but you can also get worked, especially if you get into straight drop back situations. And that's exactly what happened in week 3 against the Packers. The 49ers were fighting from behind. They got into a drop back situation late in the game, and a light just turned off. Let's get this light back on in the conference room. They got into this drop back situation late in the game, and Kenny Clark destroyed Laken Tomlinson. Jimmy Garoppolo was going to throw a screen pass. It didn't end up well because Kenny Clark ended up in his lap. That ugly turnover happened. The 49ers have to neutralize Kenny Clark. The guy is a problem, but the good news is that he's a huge problem. The guy's huge. And when guys are that big, they can't stay on the field every single down. So the 49ers absolutely must take advantage of when Kenny Clark is rotated off the field on Saturday night, because Green Bay's splits with and without Kenny Clark on the field are massively disparate. You look at the EPA per play on run plays with Kenny Clark and without Kenny Clark, this is it right here. You could tell right from this chart. With Kenny Clark on the field, the defensive EPA is better if it's negative. Negative 0.009 EPA allowed, expected points allowed per rush. Without Kenny Clark, teams are really doing some damage against the Packers, plus 0.07 expected points allowed per rush. That's from Ted Nguyen's article, along with Shale Kapadia from the Athletics. So you get a ton of goodies, including those splits for Kenny Clark, this article about Ric Flair and Burn Gloves, and obviously the game preview for 49ers-Packers. But you see how different those splits are when Kenny Clark is on the field and off the field. So the 49ers absolutely must capitalize when this guy's on the sideline. But then when he's on the field, they can't let him detonate plays, because that detonated play when Clark just ran through Laken Tomlinson and ended up in Jimmy Garoppolo's lap, that created the turnover, right? And that turnover turned into 3 points that the 49ers really wish they would have had back in week 3. So it's so vital that the 49ers neutralize Kenny Clark in a way that they've neutralized Aaron Donald in some of these Rams wins, right? And Aaron Donald's the best player maybe in the world. He's definitely the best interior defensive lineman in all football. And they've accomplished it by putting Aaron Donald on skates. They've accomplished it by running the wide zone, by using Deebo Samuel, by stretching the opposing defense to get the 49ers offense playing the game on its terms. If Daniel Brunskill can move and block Aaron Donald, he's going to do a lot better than if his feet are stuck in cement and he's trying to block Aaron Donald, because that is where players like that will beat you. They're so strong. They're so athletic. I mean, over the course of the past 10 to 20 years, athleticism of defensive linemen has outpaced athleticism of offensive linemen. And that's where the 49ers are trying to gain a comparative advantage. They're trying to get extremely athletic offensive linemen to catch up to that proliferation of athleticism amongst the prototypical D linemen. But they're cheating. They're cutting a corner on their way to do that, because these offensive linemen are typically a little bit smaller, right? Mike McGlinchey has a tight end background. Joe Staley, I know the 49ers didn't draft him for this because Joe Staley was drafted back in 2007, but Kyle Shanahan inherited literally the perfect outside zone player, right, in Joe Staley, because, I mean, this guy was a 200 runner back in high school. He, I think, set some kind of Michigan high school record. I mean, I wrote about it at his retirement. Bottom line is Joe Staley ran a 21.7 200, and you know how impressive that is if you know anything about track times. You also see that he was able to still move even at 300 plus pounds, which is why he fits so well in the 49ers scheme. Joe Staley was, a all-pro caliber left tackle. Even late in his career, he fit perfectly. And that's why Trent Williams fits so perfectly with the 49ers, because he can move and he has the size to anchor. But there's only really one Trent Williams that can do both of those things. The rest of the 49ers offensive line specializes in that lighter, more adept move in space run blocking than they do an anchor down pass protection at the line of scrimmage. So that's what I talk about, the 49ers having to play games on their terms. That's what I mean. They have to get their offensive linemen moving in a way that allows them to play to their skill set and not to the skill set of a guy like Kenny Clark. So it's absolutely imperative that the 49ers frame this game on their terms and play this game on their terms to win that big battle in the middle of the field. All right, any questions here? And then I'm going to go through some other keys for the game. go through some of these. This one's good. In week 3, Rodgers got the ball out very quickly to neutralize our pass rush. Do you think the 49ers will be able to contain those quick routes? That's all up to Ambry Thomas and Emmanuel Mosley. Press man coverage. The NFL is moving away from cover 3 because quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers will just devour cover 3 if you put it out there too much. You have to be able to man guys up near the line of scrimmage. That's where press man comes from, because theoretically, if you play it physically and you play it well, those quick passes are not an option. And if those quick passes are not an option, then the quarterback is going to need time to do damage downfield. And if the quarterback needs time to do damage downfield, the pass rush has a chance to get home. In week 3 against the Packers, the 49ers pass rush didn't have a chance to get home. Saw Green Bay do a lot of chipping of Nick Bosa. The rest of the 49ers pass rushers weren't really worth much at that time, but mainly in a game that was started by Josh Norman and Emmanuel Mosley, and you had Deommodore Lenoir replace Josh Norman, who got hurt in that game. In that matchup, the 49ers simply, at least on one side of the cornerback formation, were not good enough to stop Aaron Rodgers in the quick game. He averaged 2.31 seconds between snap and release, and that's too quick. That's like what Garoppolo was doing against the Rams in the quick release. That's going to win games if a quarterback can get rid of the ball that quickly and be completing it, because no pass rush can get home that quickly. So it's important to deliver on press man coverage. It's why the 49ers drafted Ambry Thomas. He succeeded with it in Michigan. And, you know, if he can succeed with it in NFL, and there's good signs that he's on his way to doing just that, they can change the dynamic against Aaron Rodgers in this game. Yes, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is listed as doubtful to play for the Packers. We'll find out tomorrow if he does play. Again, it's Devontae Adams and everybody else. I know they have other nice weapons there, but Adams is the big threat for the Packers. And if you can man these guys up, Adams included the line of scrimmage, same point that I just made, you have a chance, because that pass rush has a chance to get home. If the 49ers have covered 2 with a light 7-man box, will the 49ers be able to stop the run? I mean, that's the idea of having Eric Armstead and DJ Jones in the middle. I mean, those guys change the gap alignments. Those guys are dominant players at defensive tackle. And when you have dominant defensive tackles to go along with hard-hitting, fast, aggressive, and smart linebackers who are plugging the right gaps, you can get away with a lot. The 49ers of 2012 and 2013, when they beat Aaron Rodgers, got away with a lot because they had Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis roaming that second level. Obviously, they also had the powerful defensive line, but you need the entire front 7 to cohesively be on the same page. So that way, A, you can rush with only 4, so you have 7 back in coverage. And of those 7 in coverage, you still have linebackers who can do both. You have linebackers who are heavy and aggressive enough to play the run, but also quick enough to cover aux weapons from the offense in the pass game, right? And I mean, that's why the 49ers have prioritized the linebacker position. That's why Fred Warner's on this team. It's why they tried to draft Reuben Foster back in 2017. Obviously didn't work out for off the field issues, but the guy was fast and he could cover and he could play the run. And when he was healthy, he was the embodiment of what the 49ers need from a versatility perspective at linebacker. So I think the 49ers will have to be able to stop the run with a light box, because that's the challenge that Aaron Rodgers presents a team. But I also do think the 49ers should have the personnel, because they've got a really good roster, especially on that defensive side, to be able to accomplish that. Lazard has been hot. I mean, he's the biggest threat behind Devontae Adams for sure. Packers will get their points regardless of what happens, and now it's up to the San Francisco offense to put up numbers. And big, I can't read that right there, but big plays, I guess, from Jimmy Garoppolo. The 49ers need a clean, efficient game from Garoppolo. Indeed, they do. I don't know how many numbers the Packers are going to put up. I think that's the big question right now. I think the 49ers could limit them. Of course, they held Green Bay to 27 points in 59 minutes and 40 seconds in that first matchup. If you do that again, you have a chance to win this game. Anyway, I wanted to give you guys the Kenny Clark rundown. I think that is the big focal point of, the centerpiece right there of what the 49ers attack is going to try to do in this game. You have to neutralize powerful defensive tackles. And given the way that the 49ers are built, that has sometimes been an issue. So we'll see if the 49ers can neutralize Kenny Clark. This conference room light keeps on wanting me to stop this video, but I'll keep on turning it back on. And if the 49ers neutralize Kenny Clark, I think they have a good chance of playing this game downhill. All right, everybody subscribe. Everybody check out all the other videos and make sure you check out the article on the cold. Ric Flair, burnt gloves, and dead grass, how the 49ers beat the Packers in the 2013 playoffs at a frozen Lambeau Field. Again, I have many more extensive previews that I recorded before I left on the YouTube channel. So check those out, subscribe, and obviously also check out The Athletic, because the content will keep on pouring in. Maybe one more video today if you guys subscribe and give this one enough likes and all this and all that. All right, everybody, take care. Great having you.